Yo, what's up, everybody? This is LA Knight, and I am back with a review for The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, because, oh my god, that book is amazing. I should really eat this cheeseburger. It's sitting here looking at me, saying, eat me, I'm so delicious. But I don't wanna. I mean, I do, but not like right this second, maybe in an hour. Anyway, so, the Raven Boys. Alright, so, the Raven Boys are about these four boys, the Raven Boys, and this girl named Blue Sergeant, and how they all team up to find, well, they're trying to find this missing Welsh king. He's basically like the Welsh version of King Arthur, named Glendower, and it's actually the main boy's thing, his quest in life, his thing that drives him. And they all get swept up into his adventure, and then the book is about what happens to them because of this. There's actually 4 books in the series, and Maggie Stiefvater is going to be writing more books about one of the boys, but not the main boy. And I'm interested to read them, but I'm also a little worried because she said they're only about the one boy and not his boyfriend. So I'm really worried that like one of them died. But I don't know, because I feel like Maggie Stiefvater's smart enough to avoid the bury your gaze trope. So let's here's hoping. But, so, the Raven Boys. So, the way I got into the Raven Boys, actually, was that my friend Lori and Kitty Books had checked it out from the library back when I think when it came out. So, it was, like, the only one out at the time. I wasn't on Tumblr. I didn't, I wasn't very connected to any kind of book community online. I'd never heard of this book, but it was on her desk and the cover looked pretty. And so I'm like, oh, what's this? And she's like, it's the Raven Boys. I haven't started it yet. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if you read the inside flap, it doesn't really tell you much. I mean, it kind of does, but not really. Like, it doesn't really give you a good sense of what the book is about. I think you'd actually have to talk to somebody who's read it in order to get that kind of sense of the plot. And I was like, that kind of sounds interesting. So then I read, like, the first page, and I was like, I remember thinking, instead of actually being invested in the book, I was more invested in the fact that I was surprised that Lorian had it on her desk. And so I was distracted, actually, by the fact that Lorian had this and didn't really pay much attention to the part that I read. And also maybe I didn't turn to the first page either. Maybe I turned to the page that she was that there was like a bookmark sticking out of her or something, because she'll do that sometimes. She'll tuck a bookmark into the book, but not into the front of the book. She'll tuck it in a random place in a book she hasn't started yet, and like just to hold the bookmark somewhere so she doesn't lose it. And maybe that's what happened, and I got confused. But later, it was all over Tumblr, and it was because the 4th book was coming out. So fast forward, like, a lot. The 4th book is coming out, and I'm like, okay, what is this Raven cycle that everybody's talking about? And then I see, like, all these, like, these book aesthetics that people are making, and somebody made a cake with a bee on it, like, done in frosting, and the bee was saying bzz, Gansy, bzz, and Maggie Stiefvater was like, oh my god, that's horrifying, and I'm like, wait, it's a cake, like, what's the problem? And so, finally, I was like, I gotta read these books, and I happened to have some book credit with my mom, and so I asked her if she would buy me the first book, because it wasn't that expensive, so she got it for me, and I read it in, like, 2 days. And I fell in love with it. And then I had to wait for a week to get the next 2 books in the mail. And then I had to wait another, like, 3 weeks for the 4th book to come out. Thankfully, I pre-ordered it, so it arrived the day that it came out, and I didn't have to wait, like, 10 bazillion years. But still. Anyway, so the Raven cycle. The Raven cycle is interesting because it's not the kind of book that I normally read. I normally either read urban fantasy, like, I'm going to say City of Bones, even though I haven't read City of Bones in like 10 million years, but books like that, random normal girl gets pulled into fantasy universe that actually exists alongside her normal universe, and suddenly everything goes to shit, and also where are the parents? There are no parents. What parents? Because, look at most, urban fantasy books, the parents are either dead, or like, they give the kid up because of reasons, like in the Need series by Carrie Jones, or like the parents are kind of deadbeats, like Charlie in Twilight. It just depends. And so, or I read epic fantasy like Throne of Glass. It takes place in a completely different world. It may be low magic with not a lot of magic, like An Ember in the Ashes, or like Game of Thrones, or it might be like a lot of magic, like in, I'm trying to think, Harry Potter's not a good example. I guess like the Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings, magic is like freaking everywhere, and everybody can use it. Apparently, even hobbits, just to varying degrees. And the Raven Boys isn't actually it's magical realism, but I hadn't read very much magical realism at that point, and so I didn't know that that's what it was. The only magical realism I'd been exposed to up until then was Francesca Lia Block. Now, if you look at Maggie Stiefvater compared to Francesca Lia Block, those are two completely different writing styles. So you can imagine I was a little confused. Um, but I ended up really enjoying it. I thought it was very interesting how she managed to weave together both the real and the fantastic. Like, oh, Blue's a psychic? Okay, nobody cares. Blue's not really a psychic, but everyone else in her house is a psychic? Oh, okay, nobody cares. Like, these things are accepted as fact. Yeah, Blue is made fun of for being the daughter of a psychic, but the people in the town who are making fun of her still go to her mom for predictions, and the people in the town still accept it when her or her mom or her female relatives go to them and are like, hey, yeah, you're going to die in the next year, so you got to get your shit together. You know, I thought that was so interesting. And then, like, the boys are also so interesting. Um, I, Gansey is adorable and kind of a dick, but he's not a dick on purpose. And, yeah, I know his real name is Richard, and that's funny. But anyway, he doesn't try to be an ass. It's just that he's rich and he isn't aware of his own privilege, and so he, like, tries to be helpful and he tries to make, expedite things, and then he comes off as being, like, a douche. But, he really grew on me. I'm not one of those people who looks at first, second, or even third impressions because, well, one, because I think it's actually because I'm autistic. It's just, if somebody's mad, like, if somebody does something mean, I'm going to assume that they're mad and not that they're an asshole. Unless they then, continue and then really show themselves to be an asshole. There's actually a guy that I work with who I was actually friends with him for a while because he just seemed like he was in a bad mood all the time. And I felt bad because our job is very stressful. And so I felt bad for him. And then it turned out actually, no, he's just a dick. Which I found out because of some things that I overheard him saying. And I was like, that's not a product of anger. The things that he's saying, that's him being an ass. I really, like, the characters were also different. Ronan is hilarious and infuriating all at the same time. Like, I don't know what to do with him. Because, like, on the one hand, I know I could have been friends with him in high school if they didn't go to an all-boys school. Fuck that shit. But if he hadn't gone to an all-boys school, even though he was Catholic and I wasn't Catholic, I know we could have been friends. First of all, my best friend in 7th grade was Catholic, and his parents were very devout Catholics, and they didn't care that he was hanging out with a Wiccan girl, because I was Wiccan until I was 17. From, like, the time I was 9 until I was 17, I was Wiccan, because, well, for lots of reasons. But, I think I could have been friends with Ronan, but I would have had to put up with his shit, and now that I'm an adult, I don't necessarily know that as an adult I could have done that. Like, I feel like now, if I was friends with Ronan and he tried to pull his, broody, my life sucks because I'm Ronan Lynch shit, I'd be like, boy, everybody's life sucks, and I realize that you have a special kind of unicorn suck. I totally understand that, but if you treat me like garbage, I will bite your face off and then feed you to a meat grinder. Although, of course, then if I did that, he'd probably, like, fist bump me because he's super awesome that way. Gansey's adorable, Ronan is adorable and annoying, and the only thing is that he worries me, and he's so self-destructive, and I understand why, but I don't want him to be self-destructive. And also, he does something in book 2 that makes me mad, but I'm not going to talk about that because this is a review for book 1. And then, Adam. Let's talk about Adam. So Adam made me so sad in this book. He really did. But at the same time, he made me want to hit him with a shovel in the face, covered in spikes. Because I get pride and stuff, but dude, okay, so, like, if you want to talk about character classes, right, like in video games, my friend Lori in Kitty Books is a paladin. She's very honorable, she always tries to do the right thing, even though she's, like, fed up to here, full of, done with the world's shit, and she thinks it all sucks. The reason why she's like that is because she's a paladin. And she has a personal sense of honor, she has a code that she lives by that, is, like, she's lawful good / good. She's just good. She's good. I'm not that. I'm, like, I'd be a rogue. And actually, when I do things, and she's like, why do you do that? That's so... And it's not, like, anything illegal. But, like, as an example, I'm willing to accept bribes for things that I don't plan on doing. If the person is a bad person. As an example, my roommate, her family is incredibly abusive. And her mom we call her the egg donor, her mom will be horrible to her and then, like, buy her something. something expensive, like a DS or something. She hasn't done this in, like, the last, like, 4 years because we cut ties with her family, but before this, she would, like, she'd spend an hour screaming at her about how she's fat and worthless and whatever, and then she'd take her out and buy her, like, a Nintendo DS or something like that. And Lori and Kitty Books would be like, you guys shouldn't accept these presents because you don't actually accept the apology that is tacitly attached to them. And me and IK Scott, my roommate, were like, yes, but in our rogue souls, we don't give a fuck. Because, hey, free Nintendo DS! Woo woo! Yeah, yeah! And so, like, that's me. So, how this applies to Adam, I know that Adam hates asking anybody for help, and I know that that is because of the way his dad talks about how, like, he's a burden on everybody and stuff. But I also see, the thing is, I have friends who were told the exact same thing almost their entire lives, and when I try to do nice things for them, it turns into, like, a big fight, and it makes me mad. Not at them, but at the situation, and it's frustrating, and it hurts my feelings. So, on the one hand, I understand why Adam is like,
no, I can't accept any help from Gansey ever. I'm not friends with you because you're rich.
But on the other hand, I'm like,
boy, just shut the fuck up and move out. Okay? Do not put yourself in physical fucking danger for your goddamn pride. Oh my god.
Like, the whole time until the last book that I was reading these books, I wanted to, like, beat Adam in the face. But at the same time, I didn't because he gets beat in the face already. But I wanted to wring his neck. Because I'm like,
get out of there. Fuck your pride. Fuck what your dad's gonna say. He's an asshole. Run him over with a truck and leave. Go stay with Gansey. Go stay with Ronan. Go stay go camp out in Blue's backyard. I don't give a fuck. Get away from the guy. Oh my god, and your mom's a bitch too.
And it's realistic. And that's actually, like, so it's not even a detriment to the plot. It just made me mad. I was like,
God, Adam, stop. Just please be good to yourself. Get out of there.
Later, I ended up hating Adam for a long time, but in the first book, I didn't. And let's talk about Noah. This will only take about 2 seconds. Noah is a ghost, and he acts like one. He has, like, no life, except when he's around Ronan, which I think is interesting, because Blue is the battery that he feeds off of, right, because of her psychic powers and her psychic batteriness. But you see the most emotion and personality from Noah when he's around Ronan. Now, granted, Ronan threw him out a window. And then Blue. I love Blue, but at the same time, I don't know. There were things that she would do that I'm just like, that's so ridiculous. But at the same time, I could understand and respect that she did it. Like, when she wears those fingerless gloves because they look cool, but her hands are cold, I'm like,
stick your hands in your pockets!
But she doesn't want to, because that'll ruin her look. And I'm just like, I admire your dedication to beauty, like, to quote Bernadette Peters,
beauty knows no pain, girls!
But at the same time, I'm like,
just stick your hands in your goddamn pockets. Oh my god. Like, really?
I have friends who do that. They're like, oh my god, my feet are killing me in these shoes. I'm like, then why are you wearing them? And they're like, because they look cute. And I'm like, but who cares? You are more important than what other people think. But at the same time, it's like, but if you want to look cute, as long as you're doing it for you and not for dick bag pencil dick over there, you go ahead and do you. When I have kids, that's going to be my only stipulation. If you want to dress up and look pretty, make sure you're doing it because you want to look pretty for you and not because, dickbag over there thinks that you don't look good unless you're wearing lip gloss. If he thinks that, punch him in the face. So I loved the characters. I thought that even the secondary characters were very well nuanced. Oh! Here's the thing that I really liked, okay? I am multiracial. I'm about 45% black, 40% white, and 15% Native American of different types. When I was growing up, there were almost no biracial characters that, like, weren't in issue books. And issue books are contemporary books that deal with, issues like anorexia or racism or poverty or, whatever. I don't care. And I didn't like those. I still really don't like those. There are very few issue books that I actually enjoy reading. So there weren't very many fantasy. I read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi as a kid. And there weren't very many biracial characters. And I actually had to train myself as a kid to ignore it, basically. They talk about how representation matters. My parents basically, and I don't know if they did this consciously, but they basically told me, like, they would point out people for me to admire, and then they would tell me, they're like you in this way. Usually it was a girl. She's a girl too. And they never brought up race to me at all. And it wasn't until I moved to the South that, like the deep South, that the fact that I was biracial, multiracial, got brought up as an impediment to me doing things. Nobody, when I was a little kid, nobody told me, you can't do that because you're half black. You can't do that because you're half white. You can't do that because you're part Native American. Nobody told me that until I moved to the South. But that was also around the time that I was really, really got into reading because I had no friends. Because all the kids didn't like me because I was biracial. And I'm going to say biracial because multiracial is harder to say. And most people didn't know I was part Native American until I told them. So they treated me like a mixed race kid, a mixed kid. And that was not a nice way to be treated where I lived. So there weren't, I read a lot and there weren't a lot of biracial characters. And so I didn't have, when you're a kid and somebody says, you can't do something, your first reaction is, of course, yes, I can. Or why not? And then your next reaction is, well, that person did it, why can't I? And the thing about that is, other kids, when they are confronted with that argument, so-and-so did it, why can't I? It's depending on who you picked as your example, it can be really difficult for them to come up with a rebuttal, and that's exactly what you want in one of those situations. And so I never had that chance with mixed race characters to be like, yeah, this mixed race person did this thing that you were saying that I can't do because I'm mixed, so fuck you. I never had that opportunity. In fact, actually, I remember the only time I saw a mixed race kid in any kind of media at all. And it was in a movie about the fact that she was mixed and all the kids made fun of her. And I stopped watching it because I didn't want to because it made me upset. And I was maybe like 9 at the time. So what this has to do with the Raven Cycle and the Raven Boys, Blue Sergeant is half black. Probably some of you guys didn't notice. A lot of people don't because a lot of people cast her as being white in their fan casts and stuff. But Blue Sergeant is half black. Her aunt is black, and it's her mom's sister. And her mom, and they're related by blood because they share the same psychic gift that is part of their bloodline. So the mom So Mara, Blue's mom, is black because they're not half sisters. They're sisters. And the aunt is black. So Mara is black. And Blue's dad is Welsh. Now, he could also be black, but he's most likely white. So Blue is half black. She's half black and half white. She is only the second biracial character that I have read in a book series ever. Like, literally ever. Who was the main character, I should say. The other one is September from The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making. But unlike Blue, September is never explicitly stated as being biracial. They say that her dad is black, and that's all they say, but she's drawn as being white. And unlike in the Raven Cycle where Blue has there's no illustrations, on the covers of the Fairyland book, September is drawn as being white with straight hair, even though she's actually brown-skinned with curly, dark brown hair. And I didn't realize that for a long time until I really, looked at it and realized, hey, wait. And then I was told that Catherine Valenti actually, in her fan cast, she's the one that wrote the book, would have cast Amanda Stenberg as September. And Amanda Stenberg is black. So, yeah. So, so that was a big deal. That was one of the things that, when I realized it, as I was reading, I got really excited because it was something I'd never seen before. And I was like, you know what? I wish I could have read this when I was a kid. Because then, as an example, kids in my neighborhood told me that biracial people couldn't have superpowers. Technically, Blue has a superpower. And I could have been like,
you know what? The girl in this book has a superpower. So, fuck y'all.
But I didn't have that opportunity. So yeah, the Raven Cycle. I really liked it. There was not a single thing I didn't like, except that I thought it could have been longer. But not by, a lot. Maybe, I don't know, another 50 pages or something. The only thing is that I already knew that Noah was a ghost. So when it was revealed, when all those clues were popping up that he was a ghost and then it was revealed that he was dead, I saw it coming. The clues seemed really obvious to me, but I don't know if that was because I knew that he was a ghost already or because they were really obvious. Because apparently not a lot of people realized that he was a ghost until, it was revealed. But at the same time, when I read Throne of Glass, I knew on page, 25 or whatever, or 35, that Selena was Aelin, the missing princess of Terrasen, and I didn't know she was the missing princess of Terrasen, but I knew she was a missing princess from somewhere. And nobody figured that out until, like, literally, apparently, no one I know has figured out that she was the missing princess until the end of Crown of Midnight when it's revealed, and I figured it out. So I don't know if I figured out, like, I don't know if the clues seemed really obvious to me because they were really obvious, or because I'm just that good. I don't know. Or because the plot twist was revealed to me. And I wish that I could, like, erase my memory of that and then reread it again just to see, but I can't. So, there's that.
And I love Chainsaw! Chainsaw is amazing! I love her, and I love that her name is Chainsaw. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think that the Raven Cycle is really cool. However, I think that only certain I think people who like a certain type of book will like it, but if you don't like that type of book, you won't like it. The Raven Cycle is one of those you either love it or you hate it. That is something that makes me sad because it seems like a lot of my favorite books are one of those you either love it or you hate it books. But I think that the Raven Cycle is amazing and the Raven Boys is amazing. I think it's great. And I think that more people should read it because biracial main character who's a badass and looks cute and has special powers and she's adorable and knows how to kick ass. And she gets the guy. Both of them. Oh, last thing. I'm not going to promise because I might come up with something else. But last thing I'm hoping. The friendship. People give Blue guff in the book because she is so wrapped up in her friendship with the Raven Boys. But you know what? I think that's beautiful. And I'm serious. I think that's beautiful because I remember when I was a teenager and when I was younger than that and how nothing at all was better than being with my closest group of friends. I remember that so much. And I still have some of the sweetest memories of my life are from when I was with those very special friends that I had when I was that young. And I love that part of the book. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Okay, so like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought. Have you guys read The Raven Cycle? Are you going to read The Raven Cycle? You should totally do it. Welk is an asshole, and I'm so glad he's dead. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Bye!